Good morning, Ruth.
Good morning. How are you? And we have a special guest today. Who's our special guest?
We do. This is my daughter, Caitlin. She's home from
Uh,
college for another week.
Yay! Yay! I give you guys both a big virtual hug. We also have my friend from a long, long time ago, Tom, who's joining us by audio, and we'll see if we can get that hooked up too. So you want to start, Mary?
Hi, Tom. And yes, I think it's fitting that we have some guests today, in particular, Kate here. We're talking about mothers and daughters and things that we learned from our mothers. And you and I have both shared that we had very powerful influences from our mothers and positive
Yeah,
influence.
right,
So
right.
I'm excited to hear some of the lessons that I've learned from my mom and excited to hear some of the lessons that you've learned from your mom.
And a little teaser, the game is on.
It's on. It is
Yeah.
on.
Okay.
I am ready. I just came to eat the chocolates.
And I opened my
Okay,
box this morning. Let's do a little bit of guided relaxation before we start, and then we can get into. I had a little anxiety when I opened my box of chocolate this morning, so I need to take it down a little bit. So take a deep breath, close your eyes, feel that rush of cold air go in through your nose. Hold it at the top, pull the energy out of the top, and then release it. Long, long release. Release till your lungs are completely empty. And when your lungs are empty, do another deep inhale through your nose, cool rush of air through your nose. Now exhale through your mouth and feel that warm exhale through your mouth. Good morning, Tom.
Hi, good morning.
So nice and relaxed. Are we feeling good? Feeling good?
Feeling good.
Set our intention. We've got a nice deep breath. Good morning, Tom. How are you?
Morning,
Fantastic. I'm breathing. I'm doing well.
Tom.
So before we start talking about influences of our moms, and actually this would have ticked my mom off beyond repair. Mary and I found that we have a shared superpower, and it's being able to identify every chocolate in the box of C's by sight. And Tom, that's because they're the same as Fannie Mae. And you can pick up a piece of chocolate.
Are you familiar with these, Tom?
No.
You're not familiar with Fannie Mae? You should be banned from the region. What I found when I opened my box this morning was this. When did they start putting nutritional value in the box? That's so not fair.
I only partially opened it. I noticed what it was, and I immediately put it in the bottom and put the box of chocolate on top of it.
I'm pretty sure those things are meant to be burnt. That's all they're used for.
Yeah, really? They're used for kindling.
You're awesome. So today we're talking about what we learned from moms. And Mary, why do you think your mom taught you about the chocolates?
I was thinking about this one a lot. My mother's mission in life, and I asked her, actually much later when I had my own children, was how did you keep a clean house and have 9 children? And she said, oh, honey, search your memory banks. She said, I chose long ago that creating memories was far more important than having a clean house. And a lot of those memories were rooted in tradition. So the See's candy for us was rooted in tradition. Every New Year's Eve, there would be about, okay, this is almost obscene, 7 pounds of See's candy that would come into the house.
Chocolate. Yeah, right.
Well, you've got 9 kids and 2 adults. You know, somebody's going to want more than one Bordeaux. So she wanted to make sure that there was enough C's for laughter. The Monopoly board came out. Monopoly was played for probably a good 6 hours. And that's how we rung it in here. So that's C's for me is about laughter. It's about memories. And I explained to you when I walked into the C store, we haven't done this one in years in our house, but it takes a half hour to get to the C store from our house. So it's a mission. And I walked in and I was a 9-year-old little girl again. The same uniforms, the same black and white tiled floor, the same counters, all of
So
it. I was standing next to my
that brings up a great point about sensory memory. You know, so you walk into a room and all of a sudden it rushes back. You know, that kind of, you can smell it, feel it, taste it. Tom and I have a shared memory like that we found out later of both of our grandmothers taking us to this store in downtown Hammond, Indiana, called Goldblatt's. You want to explain about the elevator and where does that take you? And when I say Goldblatt's, where does that take you back to?
Wow, you know, I can still smell the corned beef in the deli in the basement of Flats, and I still remember the guy with the crank elevator door that would take you upstairs to the floors where they sold the furniture and it was one of these places where they had everything, and whatever you needed, you could find it there. But it just had that homey feeling with it. You know, the little old ladies downstairs at the candy counter that were serving up the little orange slices by the pound. I mean, you could just take yourself back there and remember it and put yourself in that spot all over again. And this was, my God, almost 50 years ago.
Wow.
I'm old.
We're all. Oh, there's no shame in age in this group because I think I know you and I are at the same spot. So what that does, I mean, from a brain perspective, think about that. You're triggering those memories. You're triggering your senses. You know, you can almost feel the activity in your brain. You can feel that electrical and chemical activity. Kate, do you have a place where you walk in and all of a sudden you're a little tiny girl? I'm sorry to put you on the spot.
Thanks, Ruth.
Well, hang on a second. Before we do this, let me extend just a second. Let's get Michelle in. Let me extend the Tom's memory a little bit. So I'm going down the elevator and going, good morning, Michelle.
Good morning.
I'm going down. Got myself going down the elevator on Goldblatt's. It's the woman in this full uniform. You know, she asks you what floor you want to go to, and I transport myself to the basement. There is this enormous bucket of pickles. I mean, the size of your hand pickles. And I imagine myself, a little tiny girl, reaching my hand in and crunching into that pickle and feeling the dill go through my head, feeling that resistance on my teeth. It's that sensory memory. It's the smell. It's the taste. It's all those things that we take for granted. Right? Yeah, that's what takes us back. So you got one? You ready?
Ladies, put me on the spot. I'll give you another second to think while she's thinking. As soon as you said dill pickle, that took me to high school. We had a little, walk-up counter in high school, and they sold those giant dill pickles. So as soon as you started talking about it, my mouth started watering. And I was walking across the quad to get my dill pickle. And I haven't thought about that in years.
Yeah.
Funny.
So the sense of smell is tied so much to memory, the sense of taste and texture, all those senses that we just take for granted. So we're talking about sensory memories, Michelle. Anything that takes you back? Can you walk into a room and just be transported to 5-year-old girl, 6-year-old girl, whatever it is?
I do. Actually, my grandmother was this really fabulous cook. And when
we can't hear you, my dear.
Okay. My grandmother was this fabulous cook, and when I smell homemade tortillas, it reminds me of when
Let's try again. Hang on, your audio seems to be off, and it could be our connection too. So I'm sorry if it is.
Okay, I can hear Michelle.
I can hear Michelle.
Okay, go, Michelle.
Okay. My grandmother was a fabulous cook, and when I was young, she would make these fresh homemade tortillas. So whenever I smell those, it takes me back to being a young child and just eating those and getting those fresh, hot, warm, buttery tortillas. It was delicious. Yeah. So it's got the smell sense and the taste sense.
Yeah, and the
Oh,
texture too. Yeah.
Right.
Whenever it's rainy and walking into the kitchen, you always make now I can't think of the word. What the heck? College. Chili. So whenever it's rainy, I keep expecting chili. Thanks.
So it triggers things. So that's interesting too. So you can have an environment that triggers something. Is it okay with you guys if we do a little plug for what Tom and Michelle are working on? Because it's kind of inspired by moms, yes?
Please.
Oh, absolutely. Right.
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
Okay, well, thanks. Well, first of all, Ruth and I went to high school together, so I've known Ruthie for many, many years. And, like anything, you lose track of people over time. And, magic from social media, book or whatever. And first of all, I think it's fabulous what you're doing, Ruth. You just, so many great and positive things. And I just love that we need more of that.
Thank you.
And,
we have a whole screen of positive, which is so awesome. We got 4 positive. How great is that, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fabulous, really, and that's my code word for 2016, fabulous. And then, while we're talking about positivity, that the young lady in the lower right-hand corner of my screen, Michelle, is Miss Positivity. She personifies positive thinking.
Awesome.
We've been doing something really fun over the last couple of years. We started a comedy-based variety show about almost 3 years ago. Actually, it was about 3 years ago. We were sitting in our watering hole and having a couple of drinks and watching some TV show. That it was a game. Actually, it wasn't even a game. It was a replay of a game on TV. We already knew who won, and we asked ourselves, why are we watching this? We should be doing something more fun. We could do better. So we decided to put together a show, just a one-time deal where we had some comedians come in, bring in live music, and we out there, kind of like you remember the Dick Van show where they would do these little plays and skits in the living room. Well, we just decided to put in the back room of a bar that we hang out in, and it was a great success, to be honest with you. We had people coming in and they were throwing money at us, and we thought this was going to be so much fun. We were going to make so much money, and
3 years later.
The last couple of years we had a lot of fun. As far as money goes, they don't actually throw it at us anymore, but they're bringing it slowly and surely. So we're having a good time. We've done about 30 events, and we bring in some high quality comedians, stand-up, improv, and sketch and musical comedy. We've had some magicians come in and live music on the show, and it's a total blast. And basically turned it into a small business now, where we've got our LLC and we've got a bank account and all this stuff that actually means we're for real. So we're having a great time. But Michelle's the one that's really the positive one when it comes to keeping it going. If it was up to me, we probably would have given up 2 years ago. We moved on to she's the one who's, this is good. We need to keep doing this.
So let's give people a little bit of geographic perspective here. So you guys are right outside the south side of Chicago, right? And when is your next show?
We're Northwest Indiana, which is right outside of Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
But for people in Indiana, it might as well be a million miles from Chicago. A little bit of different here, and people they're slow to adapt. There were slow adapters here. So our biggest competitor right now is the TV set, to get people away from their television to come out of their house and join us. But our crowds are growing. We've had some pretty decent sized crowds as of late. We're eclipsing 100 people, sometimes 200 or 300 for large fundraising shows. But our next show is on January 30th. It's in Cherville, Indiana, at a banquet center called the Patrician Banquet Hall, and it's a spot. And we've got 2 stand-up comedians and an improv comedy troupe, and just an absolutely fabulous jazz band that'll entertain in between comedians and before and after the.
So talk a little bit about how this might have been inspired by your mom or your upbringing, because we're talking about those kind of how we pull things from our family.
Well, one that she would never let me or my brothers just sell ourselves short. Like, well, if we say, well, we can't do that. I mean, like most people that generation, she has it still has her limitations, but on the other hand, she would never let you give up on anything. It was one of these cases where my mom was a single parent. My dad had passed away when I was very young, and my mom raised us both. And she's one of these people that you just don't tell her no. You don't tell her.
Yeah.
She tells you what to do.
Yeah, she's a fiery personality.
Like a lot of people of our generation, once their parents get to be elderly in their 80s, they suddenly become the parent, and then they start to tell their parents what to do. No, this, don't do that. You don't tell that to my mom. I mean, if you tell my mom don't do something, she just give you that dirty, hairy look, and then you just go back. Okay.
Yeah.
So she's definitely sets the tone of strength, durability, and basically, she injects a lot of humor in our conversations too. Sometimes I think unintentionally. She's not intentionally trying to be funny, but I think she's funny. She doesn't think I'm funny at all.
Yeah. It's crazy how we take these things into adulthood. How we take these lessons that we learned and roll them into how we live our lives. We were talking about this we were setting up what we were going to talk about today, and Mary, you have this thing, I think that it reminded me when Tom was talking about what your mom taught you and what you taught your girls, and I don't know which one of you wants to talk about it, but it's absolutely amazing. Look at you.
Oh, yeah. Do you want to share that one?
Sure. So, how I was explained to walk into a room, put your shoulders back, chest forward, bum under, and really walk into that room like you own it and belong there instead of a visitor.
Yeah.
And I was even aware that was a lesson that came from my mom until my daughters reiterated back to me that they had learned from me when I would talk about how grandma taught me how to walk into a room. And she said, Mom, grandma taught you how to walk into a room. She told you to walk into that room like you own it and make no apologies for being there. And I thought that's the perfect way to phrase it. And Ruth, you and I have talked about, especially after brain injury, there's kind of a desire to almost make yourself small at times,
invisible, yes.
And that's been a real lesson that's come back around to help me again, especially after feeling very uncomfortable for a long time. So.
There was a period of time, my son was an athlete when this was happening, when after my car accident, after the big bump on the head, he was a senior in high school, very active in sports. So I would walk into the gym with a cell phone plastered to my ear in a community in rural Colorado that had no cell phone service. So it was my hiding mechanism. So it's how we take ourselves, that how you enter the room. So Michelle, you're smiling. You have something. Does this resonate with you?
It does. I was just thinking about when we talked about our moms and our grandmothers and being influences. I love my mom to death, but my grandmother was a sort of a vital part of my life. I was the oldest grandchild, so I got to spend a lot of time with her. And I just remember her one time I was having a really bad day, and I had gone to her to talk to her, and I was crying. And she let me cry for about a minute at the longest, and then she kind of picked up my chin and she said, "Now what's crying gonna fix? It's okay to cry and kind of get it out for a minute, but what's that gonna fix? Sit here and cry all day. So pull yourself up by the bootstraps, and now what are we gonna do?"
Right.
So, and I was in my early 20s at that time. I was in college, and it was like, I don't want to do this. This is taking forever. And obviously, I finished and continued to go to school for a long time after that. But that was like sort of a life changer and a lesson learned, where it was like, okay, it's okay to cry a little bit if you have, some emotions you want to let out. But that's not going to fix anything. Now you need to take action from there to get whatever the problem is solved. So that
Yeah.
sets me from.
Very, very cool. Very cool.
That's a really
Yeah.
cool
Yeah.
So.
We also, my mom taught me to, something along those same lines, but when you go someplace or you talk to someone or you talk to someone's life, leave them in it better for you being there. So when you start an interaction with something or somebody or someplace or something, make sure that it's a positive interaction. Make sure that you're leaving that little dent, and that little dent puts a smile on someone's face and, or enhances the experience in some way. So that started me really as well.
I think that's such an important one, Ruth, and it's so easy. It takes nothing from us to do that, to spread a little sunshine, to leave someplace a little bit better. But it fills us up more than we realize, too. To know,
I think
it's.
Yeah, I think it's a perspective. I think it's really a way you live your life. I mean, I think you have to, as you walk in the room like you own it, walk in the room with a difference. Every time you put you step your foot into that room, make sure that you're making that positive, you're leaving that positive footprint. Make sure that someone says, not about you as an individual, it's about the impact that you leave. It's about, and I think as we get older, I think we think about legacy, and I think we think about how we can change things and shift them just a little bit. So it's a focus, it's an attitude, it's a way you set your shoulders. It's like Caitlin said. What is it? Shoulders back, bum under? Is that what you said, my dear? Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then put that fire in your belly, put that little intention of, I'm going to make this place a little bit better, right?
And I have to say, this one next to me, we talk about mothers and daughters and the lessons that we've learned from our mothers, but this one has been probably one of the best life teachers to come into my life, because she's had that without being taught it. She came into this world with that. And it's been fun to watch her and learn from her.
And Caitlin and I share chocolate, don't we? Yeah.
No gummy bears.
Yeah. Speaking of which, so Mary.
Yes.
We're running out of time, and we really do need to do this. The competition has been on about. But when did you come visit?
A year ago, actually. A year ago, maybe 2 weeks.
Discovered our superpowers. So I'm gonna pull a chocolate from this box.
She's diving in. She did. Oh, you did not. Oh, okay. Okay, I can tell you what that one has in it. Okay.
What do you got?
No, wait, I got to see it from the side. Do you want me to tell you what's in there? Oh, I know what's in there.
It's got a swirl on the top. One swirl on the top. This is really
okay. So we've got the matching ones now, and I believe this is the Scotch Mallow. No, you don't. Yeah, see, hers has one swirl. Hold yours up again, Ruth. I think
it's a mallow of some kind. Michelle, do you live in Northwest Indiana?
Yes, I do live in Northwest Indiana.
So you know Fannie Mae.
Oh, yes. She and I are
these are, yeah, very good friends. My mom taught me how to identify Fannie Mae candies by look. And Mary's mom, it was a whole big family, wonderful story. My mom was just because she didn't want me to put my thumb in the candies and ruin it. So there's no life lesson there. It was self-preservation on her part. No little kid fingers in her candy. So we shared this, and See's candies. When I moved to Colorado, I found out that See's candies are exactly like Fannie Mae. They use the same molds.
Oh,
And
So
Jason,
yes, this is a mallow.
California.
This is a dark one, so I'm not sure if it's if it's orange or raspberry.
I've got the same as you, and I'm thinking, okay, now wait, I have to take a closer look because I'm thinking this might be the Scotch mallow.
Yeah.
Which is the
And
half caramel, half
I-
mallow.
So, yeah, I don't know. It's a mallow of some kind, right?
It's got it.
We don't know
I
which.
think it's a Scotch mallow. Because
Okay,
they don't do just marshmallows.
right. But they mix up what they are, and it's got here's the telltale sign is the bump on the top, that little
Yep.
Dairy Queen thing on the top and around.
And the flare out on the bottom.
Yes.
This is so sad. This is so sad. My sister.
It's
My
wonderful.
sister.
Go.
Huh?
Go.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm going for my telltale. This one, which one is your favorite, Ruth? This one's
Yeah,
probably my favorite.
Is it flat? Is that flat?
It's flat on the top. It's got the sprinkles.
Oh, you like Bordeaux's?
Oh,
That's really, you like Bordeaux's? I can't believe it. Wow,
you not like
that's
Bordeaux?
crazy. They're not my favorites. And I got the pound box, and I was kind of encouraged because I'm not going to eat this whole box because I'm not a nougat fan and I'm not a Bordeaux fan, and I've got like 3 Bordeaux's and 2 nougats. Where are the caramels?
We're like the perfect.
There's no.
There are no
There's-
caramels.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
there were in my box, but they disappeared. See, I mean, there's only one. There were 2 of these, but one's gone already. And yes, it is 8:00 in the morning, and I did eat a chocolate. So.
Okay, this is what her sister says to me as I come out to the cottage and I'm carrying the box. She goes, "Leave some chocolates for me, Mom." And I said, "Honey, it's a 2-pound box." And she goes, "Kate's going with you." And I said, "We're not going to eat a pound each. And even if we did, there's still 2 more pounds in the house."
Yes, we would. I would.
Right.
Okay, I was being polite. But we could be the perfect couple when it comes to C's, Ruth. I know we're going to wrap up pretty quick, but I do like some of the nougats, and I like the Bordeaux's. I'm telling you, we could be the perfect C's Fannie Mae couple here.
Yes.
I don't like, I mean, I like the caramels, but they're not my favorite.
Now, ladies, for my first premiere on your live radio show, I have to give you a disclaimer. Tom gave me like 2 minutes notice, so I have no makeup and a ponytail on.
Oh, that's okay.
And, we're a come as you are party. As you can see, we don't do hair, we don't do makeup, we don't, this is about, when we started doing this, Michelle, we wanted to have a real conversation. We wanted to have coffee with somebody we care about, who shares our passions, who shares our positive approach to life, no matter what you face, and for spreading it. So that's a no makeup required event. And I love this no makeup required event personally. So this really leads us to January, doesn't it?
The only reason I look even somewhat made up today is because we have a family photo shoot after this where we have a photographer who's coming into our home to do what's called a day in the life shoot, where she just photographs us doing what we do.
Trust me, I'd be in sweats right now if it wasn't for that.
Yeah. And it's a good thing it's only top up. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. From here up, it's probably much more presentable, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Nobody needs to see the Monty.
Yeah. I really think that what we do, what we try and do every week is that it's our smiles. It's that smile that comes from within. It's our attitude. It's our perspective. It's how we share our spirit with people. That really is what is beautiful. It's not my 5 extra pounds or my hair that sticks out or, it's not all of that stuff. It's what pours out of us when we least expect it. And when no one's looking. Yeah.
It's doing our little. Go ahead.
You want to talk about January? What we planned for January?
I would love to talk about January because I'm really excited about it, where we're going to be talking about switching up our routines. And each week, each video chat, if you will, I was going to say blab chat, but if we're moving platforms, each weekly chat, we're going to be talking about a different area of switching up our routine and making things fresh and keeping our brain firing on all cylinders. So would you like to add some more to it?
Yeah, and never getting too comfortable, not letting our brains get too comfortable with our patterns and our maps. And we hope you guys will join us again.
Yes.
And you all have day jobs, so might be tough, huh?
Yeah. Well, I think you're doing it. This is a fabulous. Maybe if we can get a few more people involved, we could do like a Brady Brunch grid.
Oh, there you go.
Absolutely.
Bruce right in the middle, and then everybody surrounds it, which we can fun. But I think you're like I said, the whole positive aspect of this is terrific. If you're talking about something negative and spewing out something foul, you'd probably have about 50,000 people watching this thing right now. And it's unfortunate talking about something so positive. Okay, those are the ones you want, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. One of the reasons that we're experiencing big time today. One of the reasons we're talking about switching platforms. Mary mentioned that there's a crazy Godzilla thing going on where the mouths don't match the words, and it's driving us both crazy. And I'm sorry if I talked over anybody today. I apologize. So next week we're going to talk about switching up how you organize your life, right?
I've got a Cardone now.
My other caramel. Thank you. Happy New Year, all of you. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you
soon.
so much, Tom and Michelle. And cheers. Happy New Year's, everybody.
Happy New Year.
Stop with tomfoolery. Thanks.
Thank
All righty.